Hello everyone, and welcome back to a new video. This will be a very special video because this will be the all-in-one Abyss guide, including high level, low level, and just everything you need to know as of November 19th, 2022. Yeah, I will be teaching you how to deal with the low level strategy, the high level strategy, how to avoid certain mistakes, and so on and so forth. Of course, every specific part of the video will have its timestamps, which should be on the screen right now, but they are also in the timestamp bar on YouTube itself if you want to use that instead. Okay, anyway, briefly about the Living Abyss itself. It spawns little blob enemies, and you damage those enemies to damage the boss, because the damage onto those enemies directly get transferred onto the boss. The issue is that, first of all, the boss likes to devour a cookie, making them unusable for a certain amount of time, and that's why you need a second tank next to Werewolf, because we cannot have a Werewolf be devoured. Second of all, it does true damage and corruption, which is a debuff which acts like poison, but it's true damage. It really hurts, and you need good healing to basically survive it. Anyway, yeah, let's start with the low level team. The low level team I have already covered in a video before, but I will be redoing that part. The strategy is pretty much the same, just some small little details that I would like to touch upon that will improve your damage quite a lot compared to the last video. Anyway, as before, Brute. It can also be Financier or Coco or just anyone that you can have higher HP than Werewolf. Brute has been working the best though, so I recommend Brute if you can. Werewolf, of course, because his candy, especially at level 10, is very strong, which creates injury, and he will deal that injury to the enemies, like the little blobs, and that will basically like explode, which deals a massive ton of damage the longer the fight goes, which actually makes relays on this boss really annoying. And as granted, Werewolf candy for best
away from me.
best result should be level 10. He will still do okay damage if it's not level 10, but having this at level 10 will boost your damage by at least 40 million, so try and get this as fast as you can. Level 10 itself is enough, but of course, the higher level, the better. Mine's on level 12 and I still do decent damage, so I will definitely be upgrading this as time goes on. Anyway, for the toppings of the low level team. Team 1, Brute. You use, for me, I need 2 peanuts, because otherwise the Brute or Choco Werewolf or Short Shoulder HP will not be higher than Werewolf. It has to be higher than Werewolf. If my Brute is, for example, on 4DR, this is not a good set obviously, his HP is so much lower than Werewolf, and then Werewolf will get swallowed by the Abyss, and we don't want that. Anyway, yes. Then the other one, tree attack. If your Brute is having issues surviving, go for tree DR, that's fine too. This also applies if you use something like Coco or Financier. You might need the HP toppings if needed. Anyway, Werewolf, tree attack, 2 crits. This mix is pretty important because I personally deal much more damage on this mix. Anyway, you definitely want some DR subs if you can. About 15% is enough for me. Feel free to increase if needed. But this is for low level anyway, which should be like under level 30 generally. And at least 7% cooldown, very, very important. But what is most important is get his attack speed as high as you can. I will not stress this any less. Get this as high as you can, because if you were like me and had like 5 attack speed and were like, okay, that's enough, you will get the ropes bonus. That is not enough. As high as you can, because higher attack speed means more damage. Anyway, Macron, as much cooldown as you can. Her DR does not really matter, because even on high level, she will not be dying much. Of course, if needed, you can add some DR, but I don't need any, so I just focus as much cooldown as I could, ideally above 24%. Square Ink. Now this depends on where you are and what level you are. If it's really low level, like below 20, feel free to use a set without much damage resist and just focus on a lot of attack. Of course, you want a little bit of cooldown, like 4 to 5% is ideal, and then a little bit of attack speed so they can have the second ropes bonus. And if really needed, you increase their DR because there will be a move at the start where the Abyss spits on the enemy and it will hit Squid Ink, and they won't survive if they have 0 DR on like level 30, for example. So a little bit of DR sets will be needed. And again, about 4 to 5 cooldown and enough attack speed so that they get the ropes bonus. As I saw before, mixing attack and crit is a totally viable option. For me, I just like having this set because it's a pretty decent set. It doesn't matter what you use, it depends on the level. So for like really low level, I would rather use this. Then, Cotton. This will just be as high cooldown as you can get. The damage resist is really not needed, it was just coincidence, and this is also another set that I use for a different team. But yes, get her cooldown as high as you can, at least 24% if possible. It's fine if you don't, just the higher is safer. Even if she has less DR, more cooldown is safer because she will heal the other teammates way more. Anyway, and before I forget to mention, it is Scroll, Librarian's Ropes, and Clock for this team. Anyway, let's go in. For this team, I would prefer to go under level 30, because otherwise it's a bit risky, especially for Werewolf. Mine has quite low DR. You mostly want higher DR if you take this team into like the high 20s or the low 30s even. I would not use this team there because it can be a bit shaky and a bit inconsistent, and inconsistency is not what we want. So I will be using the higher DR set for Squid and practice on, let's say, level 25. 25. Right, let's go. As always, the screen is dimmed because this stage is a hell of a flashing effect. Anyway, timing is very easy. At the start we will Q Macron, Q Con, and then put the timer on Squid Ink. That's it. When you go into the fight, you immediately press Werewolf and Brute, like spam them so they go off, and that's pretty much the only timing you will have to do. When you can press someone's go early, press it early, that's it. Nothing else.
Shinies.
So you spam these two, and of course, when you can, press someone early. As you can see, my Brute got pretty low in this fight. If really needed, increase his DR or just put DR toppings on him instead. Anyway, it should look something like this. High focus on Werewolf's, of course, ability to deal damage based on injury. So he will definitely do the most damage in the team. But that's pretty much it. I've already done a video on this, so this segment will be a bit shorter than the rest. So yeah, moving on to the high level. And we are back for the high level. For high level, there are 2 possible teams, but this team, Triple Healer, is the one I greatly prefer. Yes, you might do a bit lower damage than the popular Milk team that a lot of people have been using, but this team can be quite inconsistent, especially past level 34, which is considered high level, where your Werewolf can randomly die, your Squid Ink will randomly die, even your Milk will randomly die. Of course, wait, enough. promotions, labs, DR, this can be fixed. But this might be intensive for a lot of people, especially if you don't have milk candy, even if you only need level 1. And it would also require you to level yet another cookie. But for this, it's a lot more consistent. You will still do great damage, a few million less at its worst, because even I do more damage with the healer team, and I don't know why, but milk is not really working too well, so I very much recommend this team instead. The good thing about this is, at high level, above 34, you can still use your attack Brood of Financier Coco, whatever you're using, and you can still use your attack Werewolf. On the milk team, you will not be able to use this. Anyway, I will go over the full team. Broods, Werewolf, Macaron, Pomegranate, and Cotton with Scroll, Rogue's Clock. And for toppings, as I've mentioned before, 3 attack, 2 HP, or whatever you need to get Schwartz to have more HP than Werewolf. Some people don't even need the HP toppings. Some people, like me, need 2 peanuts on him, unfortunately. But as long as he has higher HP, it's good. Also, in this team, he will need a little bit of attack speed because he will be taking the second Rogue's bonus. Anyway, Werewolf, as I mentioned before, as high attack speed as you can get. This is very important because it will increase your damage by a ton. And of course, at least 7% cooldown would be appreciated. Some DR subs will definitely be needed because this is still a high level. I still recommend above 15% DR if you can get it. Anyway, Macaron, the same as a low level. She has 0 DR and she survives for me. If this is not the case for you, put some DR on her, it's fine. I just like prioritizing cooldown to keep everyone alive. But if she's getting a one shot at some point, definitely consider putting DR on her. Pomegranate, it's the same as Macaron and Cotton. As much cooldown as you can get. For her, I like putting a little bit of DR on her because she does get hit at some point, but she can tank it pretty well with all the healing from Macaron herself and Cotton. And Cotton, same set as a low level, get as much cooldown as you can, preferably 24% plus. Of course, this DR isn't needed, I just happen to have it, but it's not a bad thing to have, so definitely get it if you can. And yeah, as mentioned before, you need a level 10 werewolf candy for this one.
The monster inside me might hurt you.
Yes, you can do it without it, but you will definitely lose a lot of damage because you don't have Squid Ink in this comp, and it will be purely him, so I definitely recommend getting this. And a little bonus, if you somehow still struggle to survive with this team, instead of Pomegranate, consider putting a BTS cookie in her place, because they will keep your team alive even more with their debuff resist, shields, and just great healing overall. And they wouldn't need any DR to survive because they are safeguarded. Anyway, I will be showing how to use this team on pretty much the max level of the Abyss, because after level 34, the damage is actually increased anymore, because so level 34, level 48, level 57 are all the same damage. It's all the same high level. Anyway, let's go. Timing here is still very, very easy. Pretty much the same as the other two. So basically, when Macaron and Pomegranate are ready, we'll instantly press them and then just Q con as usual. So when you're ready, press them and Q her, and then she goes. And then put the timer on Werewolf. As Werewolf goes, we will be using Bird as well. And that's it. Pretty much fully auto off this. If you see someone's go early, press it.
For my master.
Ignore the panic I just faced. The good thing about having the attack speed on Bird is that he actually gets to move right before that first devour, which is really helpful for the rest of the team.
For my master. For my master. For my master. For my master.
Has awoken!
master.
And there we go. This is still quite decent damage for high level, because, well, your damage will drop a lot, but this team will pretty much never die. It is the most consistent high level strategy that we have that still does decent damage. And I definitely recommend using this if you're struggling with the milk team or just anything else, or just struggling to survive in this in general, because in my opinion, even if you can do like maybe like a 120 with milk, if you're failing half of your runs, I don't think that damage is worth it, and you're better off just stepping down for this to have consistent damage every time you attack. Anyway, damage chart looks like this. Very heavy on the werewolf, but the attack on the brute definitely helps. But yeah, that's pretty much it for me for this video. I hope these strategies are helpful to you, and the change from Dragon to Abyss will be a bit more manageable. Thank you for watching, and goodbye!